point, the riders can attack the tandem. They can try to get around it. Although the tandem will be accelerating, it'll actually pull off on the apron with just over 1 lap to go here in the home stretch.
Now we've got 2 Wheatie Schwinn guys, and then the world sprint champion Pate and he's in 3rd place. And that's a tremendous lead out. It's a tremendous train right at the front.
They're the 3 veterans from Japan, and they all know where they want to be right now. They're just going to try and control it at this point.
Now here comes
and they are. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Gibby Hatton sweeping the others off his wheel back there. And as they come into the home stretch, the tandem starts to accelerate. And they begin to attack, and it's off and running now. The tandem pulls off on the infield, and it's Gene Samuel on the outside, number 50 there, behind the duo, the Wheatie Schwinn duo, Pate in the rainbow jersey. And here's all the attack, and Nelson Vales trying to come around the outside, going down the backstretch. But right now it's lined up. The 2 Wheatie Schwinn teammates lined up 1-2. Here comes the outside move by Hatton, trying to get around his teammate Vartan, and Pate getting 3rd. So the Japanese connection lines up 1, 2, and 3. That experience of all the Keirin racing in Japan pulls it off here at the Lehigh County Velodrome. The Chief, Michelle Vartan, getting the win. And Gibby, the Bear Hatton, his teammate, with a 2nd place race there. Pate reaching out to congratulate the 2 teammates. He took 3rd, and that's the way it ended. Vartan and Hatton congratulating each other. Vartan on the right, Hatton on the left. 1-2 finish for Wheatie Schwinn here in the Keirin final. Let's take another look in the backstretch with the Wheatie Schwinn teammates 1-2 on the track right now. Vartan in the lead, Hatton in 2nd spot, and Vales trying to come around the outside in 3rd.
Yeah, Vales trying to come around on the outside, and it's too far around. He realizes at that point he's trying to come back in, and then it's a drag race to the finish. They're going so fast at this point, it's impossible to pass at the line.
And there you can see that the 3 experienced and speedy Keirin veterans, the distance, the margin of victory between the 3 of them and the rest of the field. Michelle Vartan, the winner of the men's Keirin final, the last race of the season in the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix for the Keirin events. On the track right now, the 2nd ride in the match sprint final for gold, Kurt Harnett and Ken Carpenter. Ken Carpenter winning the 1st ride pretty convincingly in some ways, and now Kurt Harnett has to try to even the score. They have reversed their start positions. In the 1st ride, Ken Carpenter was the leader and held that lead all the way to the finish line. Both of these riders like to ride from the front, and both have said that a typical, quote-unquote, Ken Carpenter, Kurt Harnett match sprint has the front rider winning.
Well, this could be a real decisive victory for Ken if he can beat Kurt this ride. He hasn't beaten Kurt in a long time, actually since the Houston Sundance Grand Prix event in the semis, when Kurt had a problem with his pedal in the 2nd ride. And Kurt has dominated Ken recently. I think Ken would very, very much like to win this race. And of course, Kurt wants to win real bad. So this is a very crucial ride right here.
Kurt Harnett leading right now. They've passed the finish line, the end of the 1st lap. They are in, and there goes Ken Carpenter to take that front position that he used to win the 1st ride. Now, tell me, did Kurt let that happen, or doesn't he mind?
Well, Kurt wasn't really expecting it so early. I mean, Ken wants the front so badly that he made his move with a lap and a half to go to establish the front position.
Now they come around with 1 lap to go, and this looks a lot like the 1st ride. Ken Carpenter won the 1st ride from the front. Here they go.
I think this is going to be a little too long for Ken to be from the front, though. I think Kurt will be able to get around him. That's a long ways to lead from the front.
Kurt's forcing him up to speed down the backstretch. Ken Carpenter giving him a little bit of a whoopee into that turn. 100 meters to go. Here's the drag race. Kurt Harnett trying to get around. If Ken fades, Kurt will take it. No! And Kurt Harnett actually ran himself into the back of Ken Carpenter's bike, and he's down on the track. His styrofoam helmet, that's what they're supposed to do, is break in order to absorb the impact. You can see that Kurt is still conscious and alert, and had he not been wearing a helmet, maybe even one of the older style helmets, that wouldn't have been the case. So that helmet is fractured, and he's still...
that helmet definitely saved him from serious injury.
Now there's your winner, Ken Carpenter. Now Ken really was out of trouble. He was riding straight to the line, and Kurt was just so determined to try to get around that he actually poked his front wheel into the back of Ken's bike.
Yeah, and I think throwing that bike at the line, it was a little bit wild.
So Kurt Harnett down on the track. Let's take another look at the replay of the finish. Ken Carpenter, a superb ride. Here they are in the back straight going into the final turn. And Ken Carpenter leading the race. Kurt Harnett now really charging and working the bike.
Now it's a drag race to the finish.
And Kurt is getting over the front of his bicycle. There's weight over the front of his tire, and you can see he loses it. His rear wheel slides out, and that is what caused him to come off balance and fall down.
And there his head impacts with the track. The applause that you hear in the background is Kurt up and on his feet. There's the crash again. Kurt Harnett, front tire blows out very dramatically there. You could see the explosion of the tire. There's the helmet coming apart. And Kurt Harnett, injury added to the insult of losing, I guess you would have to say. But fortunately, he is okay. Ken Carpenter with a superb ride from the front twice takes the gold medal in our Fireman's Pursuit. Brought a lot of excitement to the crowd right here, and were very significant in the overall outcome of the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix. On the women's side, Kellyanne Carter-Erdman of the Canadian national team against Lucy Tyler. Lucy coming back not only from serious injury in Houston, going through the windshield of a car, but also coming on as a contender for the overall, winning the gold medal in the pursuit, pulled her at a tie at that point in points for the overall title. Lucy Tyler, winner of the women's pursuit and a contender in the overall. On the men's side, it was Sean Wallace. He's already run off with the overall title in the Sundance Grand Prix, and he came up against Brian McDonough of Team Lycra. Very exciting final here, but Sean Wallace just too powerful. He had already set a track record in the semifinal round, and he went on to win the gold medal in convincing style. We had a chance to talk to him down in the infield, along with a brand new bicycle. Wally, another day at the office for one of the world's most versatile riders, and you've really been waltzing away with this Sundance Grand Prix point standing so far. It's out of reach. No one can catch you at this point.
Yeah, that's how it seems. You say another day at the office. I'm glad it's the end of the week, though, because I'm tired.
Well, you put in a good effort in the pursuit, set a track record in the semifinal, and went on to win the gold medal here and really clinched the overall title. Tell me about this new bicycle, though. We found out that you're on a piece of new equipment here this weekend.
That's right. This is a Schwinn Paramount 1989.5 model. They built it for me. I rode it first in Colorado Springs and now here, and it's state-of-the-art equipment. Latest oversized tubing, steel tubing, solid carbon fiber disc wheel, tires, see, about 3/4 of an inch wide, extremely light, very stiff, very strong, and it's a pleasure to ride it. It's great.
Well, it's certainly done a good job for you. Sean, now that the Sundance Series is over, what are your plans for the remainder of the season?
I'd like to have a bit of a rest, but I'm not going to get too much. For one, I start a Criterium Series next week, and I'll be back out on the West Coast, still doing a bit of track racing when I get the chance. And so I've got a few more months racing. Perhaps not as intense as this Sundance Series has been, though, but I've enjoyed it.
Well, for a professional bike racer, I guess it's going to be a few more days at the office. Sean, thank you very much. Good luck for the rest of the season, and we will see you next year.
Thank you, Brian, for sure.
We're getting ready. Men's sprint final for 5th through 8th place. 4 riders on the track at the same time here at the Lehigh County Velodrome, the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix final. The contestants, Gibby Hatton of the Wheaties Schwinn team, Stephen Pate, the world professional champion, Bobby Livingston of Team Lycra, and Paul Swift of Team USA. And this is like a who's who in cycling, really, but racing for 5th through 8th place. Mark Gorski?
This is going to be an interesting ride because all 4 of the riders are pretty equally matched speed-wise, and they all have good endurance, and usually these 5th through 8th rides turn into be about a lap and a half sprint. So it should be it's all going to be a matter of positioning here.
There at the bottom of the track is Stephen Pate. The rainbow jersey isn't just something that he liked the colors of and bought in a store. That's awarded to a world champion. Only one professional sprinter in the world can wear that rainbow jersey. He just flew in from Australia less than 48 hours ago, so he's probably still trying to figure out where he is, Thomas, and what's going on, what day it is, what time it is, and everything else. It may explain why he's in the 5th through 8th final.
Yeah, but it also shows you the level of competition that we have here at the Sundance race. There are a lot of good riders here, and certainly he might not belong in this heat when he's a world champion, but there's a lot of good competition here.
Well, traditionally, the world professional sprint champion doesn't always compare or wouldn't always have won the amateur championships.
Here's Bobby Livingston. He's currently 2nd overall in the point standings. And being in the 5th through 8th final isn't going to give him an opportunity to pick up any additional points. Points are only awarded for the top 4. But Livingston has been a very consistent performer throughout this Sundance Grand Prix, riding for Team Lycra. He's the 4th man in the string right now. Just ahead of him, it's Gibby Hatton in the orange and blue of Wheatie Schwinn. Paul Swifty from Kenosha, Wisconsin, in the Stars and Stripes jersey there, Team USA. And Stephen Pate leading it out.
It's interesting watching them because they're all just looking each other over. No one is they don't want anyone to get away with anything here.
This is Pate's first appearance in the Sundance Grand Prix, and he finds himself already on the track with 3 other sprinters. Bobby Livingston.
That's what they were looking for. I think they were looking for Bobby to make a move, and he's going for a long one.
Lap and a half to go, and he made his attack there. They'll be coming now into the home stretch out of the north turns at the Lehigh County Velodrome. And there they go down the home stretch with 1 lap to go. Hatton now sweeps over the top with Pate on his wheel. This is a little more like a Kieran race, which Hatton and Pate are very used to riding in Japan, both of them. A half lap to go on the backstretch. Pate ducks through on the inside. Hatton starts to fade. Livingston makes a move around the outside with Swift on his wheel, but Stephen Pate, the world pro champion, takes this one going away, followed by Livingston. Then Swift and Gibby Hatton, who started it with a lap to go, fades back to 4th spot, getting 8th place then in the match sprint finals. Stephen Pate, the world champion, on the left of the screen there. And here's a replay with Hatton in the lead on the backstretch. And Stephen Pate starting to make a move there, Mark.
Gibby was a good friend to Stephen Pate to do that, and I think
you can see he just sat up at that point right there, and Stephen Pate comes around.
Left an opening, we might add, at the bottom of the track. I guess Gibby knew he was fading, and so he might have heard or even seen Pate steaming up behind him. Pate takes a couple of glances over his shoulder. The speed that he has is obvious. Outdistancing the field, take 5th place in the match sprint competition here. Stephen Pate, world champion, 5th place in our Sundance Grand Prix final. But it's Irish Spring race of the day, and of course that was the second ride in the men's match sprint final for gold. Ken Carpenter on the right, Kurt Harnett on the left. As we look at him here coming down the final straightaway, full-on effort for the gold medal. It resulted in this, a loss of control by Kurt Harnett, a spill after the finish line. Ken Carpenter goes on to take the gold. Kurt Harnett got up, he's okay, he'll be back to race another time. That was definitely our Irish Spring race of the day. Now let's take a look at the overall standings in the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix. On the women's side, Janie Eickhoff had led from start to finish and went on to clinch the overall season title. On the men's side, it was Sean Wallace, too, a runaway victor. Not even a close competition there for Sean Wallace. And some of the results of today's events in the men's sprint, the final result, Ken Carpenter, Kurt Harnett with the silver medal, Richard Young of Canada beating Nelson Vales for the bronze. On the women's side, Renee Duprell taking Julie Spate for the gold medal. Connie Young, the defending champion, not here. And Jane Eickhoff picking up a couple of points towards her season title. In the missing out, Sean Wallace, more points for the young man from the Wheatie Schwinn team. Graham Miller of New Zealand, a newcomer to the series. Brian McDonough, contender all season long, was 3rd in that missing out. In the Kieran final, it was the dynamic duo of Michelle Vartan and Gibby Hatton of the Wheatie Schwinn team. Stephen Pate, world professional sprint champion, taking the bronze medal. And in the men's pursuit, it was Sean Wallace still piling up the points, even though his victory was assured. Brian McDonough taking silver over Jim Pollock, also of Team Lycra. Carl Sundquist, Team Lycra, filling up the last 3 spots. And in the women's pursuit, Lucy Tyler making a last-minute bid to take the season championship away from Jane Eickhoff. She wasn't able to do it, even though she won the gold medal in the women's pursuit over Kellyanne Erdman of Canada. So a great competition here. We wouldn't expect anything less in the Sundance Grand Prix, and the final, I think, was the best of them all. Thomas Pran.
And this top-quality Cosset Stainmaster carpet's half price. Save on these beautiful velour ready-made curtains.